Morning. Time for another Take Time Tuesday. So we start, of course, by breathing. Breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. Past week and a half or so have been a particularly tumultuous time for, realistically, all of the wrong reasons. I think at its underscore, we saw just how deeply divided as a country we are and how far away we have fallen from each other. Last week was the 24th anniversary of 9/11, and in discussing that with my coworkers, unfortunately some of them are too young to remember it now, it was probably a singular day where Americans came together as a country for the first time in a long time and quickly fell apart since. We have entered an era where divisiveness is more comfortable than camaraderie, and a time when violent speech begets violent speech begets violence, etc. at all. And we do it to ourselves because that's the path we've taken. I would argue news is no longer, it's entertainment, and that's deliberate. It has been for the last 30 years. Walter Cronkite was probably the last person who was a news anchor of integrity that was strictly American, who chose not to opine about their opinions on the air and just read the news. I tell people all the time that if you want to know an issue in modern America, you don't watch Fox, you don't watch Newsmax, you don't watch CNN, MSNBC. You watch other nations' news coverage of us, because that is much more true than what we tell ourselves. And I'm not going to sit here and tell people who is right, who is wrong, although I have those opinions. I will say that I don't care about people's feelings on a matter anymore. We're long past that. I want just the facts. And we're living in an era where feelings, no matter how heartfelt and misplaced, are more important than facts. And that's why we're at where we're at. I also won't get into too much detail about faith because, quite frankly, if you've never been forced to write an exegesis on your holy book, you don't know what that holy book said. I guarantee you that. That's just how that works. But faith is a feeling. Again, I'm only concerned in fact. Mental health, for me, is a huge cornerstone of everything I try to do, which ironically is found in feelings, but is combated by fact. It is also combated by empathy, something that very few of us show towards anybody anymore. And that used to not be the case. We used to be the country that was there to show empathy to the world, to show them the way forward, and to show them the best example of humanity that could possibly be. We've lost sight of that. So where am I going with this? For those of you who remember 9/11, remember what it felt like to be terrified that your friends and family were somewhere where you couldn't find them, and what that felt like. Remember the empathy others around you showed you to help you through that time. That is where we need to be today. We don't need politicians drumming up false narratives and feelings. We need to be grounded and with each other and finding ourselves coming together again. Something to think about. Y'all have a good day.